Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to stick to Hong Kong and we're going to return to a brewery that has now featured on the channel many times before. Now, I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the last couple of years, a good few different styles, and if people were to ask me about this brewery, I would say that they're probably best known for their different kinds of German style lager beers, and those are very authentic in my opinion, which was one of the things that really makes me love this brewery. But the beer we're going to have a look at today is one of their latest releases. It's a style I've had from them on several occasions before, one that I know they can do pretty well, and this is one that I've heard very good things about. So needless to say, I'm very curious to see what this one's going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, like I said, we are going to stick to Hong Kong. We're going to go over to Hong Kong Island and the south side of the island to a little place called Wong Chuk, and that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Young Master Brewery. So this particular beer is called Football Haze. It comes in at 6% ABV, and this is another New England Hazy, whatever you want to call it, IPA. So yeah, this is, at the time of filming, Young Master's latest release through Circle K. I think it's usually every month they release a different beer through the Circle K stores in the territory, and yeah, they're always pretty interesting actually, quite a few different collaborations and stuff like this. But yeah, this is the one for May 2025. I've heard good things about this from friends who also enjoy Young Master, and I'm finally getting around to trying this one. It's always nice to review some new beers from these guys as well. But yeah, 6% New England Hazy IPA, this one. Let's crack on then and see what this beer is going to have in store for us. So, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Young Master Brewery before, and we will no doubt add more to that list at some point in the fairly near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Hong Kong playlist along with a number of other things, and do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very interesting things on the channel these days, even if I do say so myself. So yeah, go and check some of those out, but most importantly, drink some nice beers. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about Young Master Brewery once again then. So, Young Master Brewery was founded back in 2013 by Rohit Dugar, who is originally from New Delhi in India. So he was working in New York in the finance sector, but moved to Hong Kong in 2011 and was working for Goldman Sachs. But after a while, he kind of decided he was sick of the rat race and decided that he wanted to quit, and found his own microbrewery. So he was joined at the brewery in the early days by German brewer Ulrich Altbauer, who had quite an extensive experience of brewing beer in China, and he was the master brewery and stayed with the company until 2016, at which time he sadly died. So the current brew team is Edwin and Brian, both of whom have worked for the brewery for a good number of years, and the first brewery they had was in Ap Lai Chau, which is a little island just off the south coast of Hong Kong Island. This facility had a 10 hectolitre brew house, and it acted as their main production up until mid-2016. It was actually just as they were moving into the new brewery that Ulrich sadly passed away. But they opened up the new brewery in Wong Chuk with a 40 hectolitre brew house from GEA in Germany, as well as a larger barrel aging area, and they also bought a fodder as well, and they were the first brewery anywhere in Asia to have one of these big oak fodders for sour beers. But these days they brew around 1,500 litres of beer per month. That number might well be inaccurate, because I think I found that about a year ago. They could have scaled it up since then. But these guys also produce highballs under the brand Higher Than, and they recently launched a beer called Young Master Grand as well, which appears to be their take on a kind of premium lager, you know, sort of macro beer if you like, and this is going to be sold to restaurants in Hong Kong, although I did see it in Circle K, so I'll maybe need to buy a can of that one and review it for you on the channel fairly soon as well. But they've got several tap rooms and restaurants these days. It includes TAP, the Ale Project in Mongkok, one of the real kind of pioneers of the craft beer scene, if you like, here in Hong Kong. They've got Second Draft just by Victoria Park, which is my favourite one of the venues. Pub 1842 in Central, which is quite a fancy one. You'll find it in the basement of one of the big tall skyscrapers. But they previously had Alvy's Pizzeria along in Kennedy Town, which I really used to enjoy, and also the Guild down in Singapore, both of which have shut now, and there was another TAP venue up in Chun Wan in the New Territories here too. But today, these guys are the largest craft brewery by volume in Hong Kong, and they're also the most decorated of the craft breweries as well. But as of May 2025, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 300 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and they now employ about 20 people. For me, the Young Master beers that always come to mind are the lagers. I really love their Pilsner and their Märzen that they do for the Oktoberfest. Those are very, very authentic, but their other beers are pretty damn solid as well, so they're definitely worth checking out should you get the chance. But yeah, that, as I say, is everything I can tell you about Young Master Brewery for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a wee bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on then and actually have a little look at the beer itself. So I'll let you have a wee look at the artwork on this one before we open it up, and this one is actually a little bit of a tribute to a quite well-known Hong Kong footballer. So yeah, the guy on this can, it tells you on the side here, Max Poon, HKG representative. In 2022 Asian Games, he scored the famous winning goal in the quarter-final match against Iran, leading Hong Kong to a historic semi-final appearance for the first time. So yeah, this guy on the front of the beer here is Max Poon. So yeah, I still need to go and watch a league football match here in Hong Kong. It's something that I've never done. But there you can see the Young Master symbol on top here. One of the things they always do on the cans too, which I quite like, is they give you the English and Chinese characters to kind of describe the beer a little bit. And you've got a plain silver top on the can. Incidentally, this one is a 330ml can, and it says on the side here, quench your football craze with Football Haze, celebrating the never say die spirit of local football players in Hong Kong. Our hazy IPA erupts with dynamic notes of tropical fruit, citrus zest and gentle dankness, culminating in a pillowy, juicy finish. So yeah, sounds pretty good. I bought this one in Circle K, I believe, for 25 Hong Kong dollars, if I'm not mistaken. So that is about £2.50 sterling, I guess about €2.75, maybe $3 American, something like that. So yeah, pretty good deal. You can get these. Usually they've got a deal if you buy 4. I think it's if you buy 3, you get a 4th one free or something like this. So you get 4 for 75 Hong Kong dollars, which is pretty good. But yeah, let's get this guy out into the glass then and see how we go. The Football Haze, 6% ABV, New England Hazy IPA from the wonderful Young Master Brewery in Wong, Chuk, Hong Kong Island, here in the Hong Kong SAR. So there we go. So that looks pretty nice. Anyway, so just line it up so that my OCD is happy, and there you go. So you can see, before the head disappears, this one has poured with about a finger of a kind of very bubbly cream coloured head there. Look at that. That's really, I've never seen a head quite as bubbly as that, in all honesty. That's quite interesting. But yeah, I like that. Look at that, it's just fading away quite nicely. Oh, there's a little, I think I must have left a little dirt particle in the side of my glass there. There we go, got it. But yeah, anyway, this one, I have to say, it looks very, very nice. Yeah, lovely kind of pale. Yeah, this one's really actually very, very pale. So I would describe the colour of this beer as being akin to a kind of pineapple juice or something like that. I always like comparing the appearance of the New England IPAs to different fruit juices, because that really is just what they remind me of. But remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few different things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. Any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well, but you don't often have to care about that when it comes to the IPA style category. So yeah, this one, I have to say, looks very, 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 very nice. A little bit of carbonation visible in this one, but not too much actually. But yeah, lovely kind of pale sort of pineapple juice colour, I would say too. The other thing I'm noticing about this one is that for a 6%er, this thing is opaque as fuck. This has got a hell of a lot of haze to it, very soupy and gloopy actually for its percentage. So remember, the level of haze in these beers depends on oak content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use. That can vary from beer to beer and brewery to brewery and so on. But yeah, I have to say, this is one of the soupier and gloopier 6% New England single IPAs, if we can call them that I've come across in recent times, so that's pretty impressive too. But all in all, there's nothing really surprising about the appearance of this beer when you consider what style it is. So I think we can move on and have a little look at the aroma of this one. So yeah, let's do it. Alright, okay. Really nice, just very soft, juicy aroma, which is kind of what you'd expect from this style, of course. So for me, yeah, for me, this one it gives you everything you want from the style. You've got a little bit of zippy, hoppy character in there, nice malty backbone, and then that juicy, fruity quality to it as well. So for me, the the fruity, the aroma side of this beer, one thing you always have to think about with the New England IPAs is the malty and yeasty side of things. There's 6 elements you should look at. So you've got the kind of farmhousey yeasty character and the rye leaning grainy side of things. Those 2 elements are a little bit more common in New England brewed New England IPAs. And then you've got the wheaty bitiness, oaty creaminess, barley malt bread, and also the sweeter side of things. And as the style has evolved and moved away from as the style has evolved and moved away from New England and gone to other places, it's really the focus has been more on those 4 elements. The first impression that I have of this one is that it's going to be quite oaty leaning, but a little bit more pungent in its wheaty character. That's the first note that I'm getting out of this one. So yeah, let's just break this aroma down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So the backbone of this beer, absolutely, you've got that lovely, typical, fresh white bready bread crust coming out of this one. You do get little elements of wood and a little touch of the kind of crackery note in there as well. But yeah, the way that it goes together, I think, is really quite nice. On top of that, there's a little bit of on top of that, you get a little touch of wholemeal. There's a wee bit of wholemeal brown bread in there, which I do like. So yeah, a lovely little touch of wholemeal brown bready character in there. And then yeah, lots of fluffy, fresh white bread from the barley malt. But then the thing that kind of is most pungent in this aroma is that more zippy, wheaty type character. So yeah, at the back of the nose, you get quite a lot of that wheaty bitiness coming out. And yeah, you can smell that more dense wheaty character in there. I'm pretty sure it's European malt that's in this, and I know they like their European ingredients at Young Master with their kind of German beer background, of course. But yeah, the way that everything kind of pieces together in this one is really very, very nice. Yeah, so for me, the oaty side of this beer is kind of quite interesting, because the wheat really is the thing that dominates the aroma in this sense, but you do get a little bit of oatiness coming out of this one. So as I've often said, the oaty component in beer is quite interesting, because essentially the fresher your beer is, the creamier the oats are, the older the beer is, the drier they are. So oats can be a rough indicator of how fresh your New England IPA is. So for me, the for me, the oaty character in this one's actually very smooth as well, and just it's got that little bit of creaminess to it, which again makes me think European oats. But I could be wrong on that. And there's a wee tiny touch of like a Werther's Original butter candy butterscotch and a little bit of a biscuity note to this one, which I do really quite like actually. So the way that all of that pieces together, I think, is really nice in this one. So yeah, I think that covers the malty side of the beer. The yeasty character at the back of the nose then, as I say, you get more and more of the wheaty bitiness at the back of the nose, which I do quite like. So yeah, lovely kind of wheaty bitiness at the back of the nose. But the yeasty side of this beer, it's got a little bit of brown bready character to it, but mostly a white bready character, and then that kind of and then that sort of pungent, just a little bit more of that pungenty, wheaty bitiness to it as well. So the wheat, as I say, starts to dominate the malty and yeasty side of this beer the more that you smell of it. But I think we've said everything we need to about that malty and yeasty side of things. Let's have a little look at the hoppy side of the beer. So the green component on this one does have a fair little bit of kind of punch to it, which is interesting. Because I know that my friend, when he tried this one, he told me that it felt it needed to sit in the can a little bit more, because he drank his pretty much the first day he found them. And he said, yeah, it was a little bit kind of green, if you like, so it needed a wee bit more time in the can just to kind of settle a little bit. So that's one thing to be aware of with your New England IPAs. So so for me, one thing to remember about IPAs is that you have three types of hoppings you can do. Early addition hopping, which takes place within the first hour of the wort boil. That gives you a deep, dank green component, and it's responsible for the vast majority of your bitterness. You've got late addition hopping, which takes place usually within the last half hour or so of the wort boil. Gives you a little bit of bitterness, mainly flavour and aroma, and a very bright green component. Then you've got dry hopping, which takes place after the wort boil is complete. That's all about flavour and aroma, and it gives you a very bright green component. New England IPAs tend to rely on late addition and dry hopping, which is why they're softer and more juicy. West Coast IPAs use all three types of hopping, which is why they're deeper, danker, more bitter, and more kind of oily, if you like. So bear that in mind. But with this one, it smells as if it's got a little bit of early addition hopping in there as well. But again, the beer's very fresh, so you can kind of smell a wee bit of the kind of powdery stuff, if you like, from this is obviously from the pellets. So yeah, I do like how this. I really do like how this. The hoppy side of this beer goes together. But yeah, for me, there's a little tiny touch of earthiness in there, wee bit of piney resin, but mostly it's quite floral and aromatic, and a good little bit of kind of grassy zestiness coming out of this beer as well. So yeah, the way that this one goes together, I think, is really quite nice. So yeah, gets a good thumbs up from me. Yeah, I think we can leave it at that for the hoppy, or for the green component. So the fruity side of this one, I'm trying to figure out what hops might be in here. I think it's like Citra or Galaxy, and something maybe a little bit more soft, if you like. I don't think it says what hops they've used in this one. I would be very curious to know. But yeah, I mean, for me, there's a little bit of kind of peachy character, a little bit of that peachy sharpness in there. Lots of juicy mango as well. Yeah, lots of juicy mango. Soft apricot, a little bit of pineapple. Yeah, soft apricot, a little bit of pineapple, and is there anything else? I think there's maybe a wee bit of papaya or something like that in there. But yeah, I think there's a wee bit of like an orangey or limey character further forward on the nose, but it's a little bit hard to pinpoint in honesty, because yeah, the peach and the wheat are quite dominant in this one. Yeah, I think there's a wee bit of like a limey note out of this one, maybe like Citra and Motueka or Galaxy and Motueka, something like that in this one. Yeah, the way that goes together is pretty nice actually. So it's got quite a zippy aroma to it, this one, I have to say. I think that's a fair way to describe it. But yeah, I think this is going to be quite interesting. So as I always say, take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of your beer before you get stuck into it. But I think it is about time that we try this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is the Football Haze, a 6% New England Hazy, whatever you want to call it, IPA, a tribute to Max Poon, quite well-known Hong Kong footballer. This one comes to you from Young Master Brewery in Wong, Chuk over on Hong Kong Island. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Alright. That's interesting actually. Yeah, this beer, this one, it's really soft and juicy, but it's showing you a wee bit more kind of dryness and zippiness in the beginning, which I have to say I do quite like. Where do we go with this then? So, the, yeah. Yeah. The way that this goes together is really nice. I think the first sip, the impact flavour shows you a bit more like you've got a little bit of that green, green powdery hop almost on the edge of your palate, and then a wee bit more of the wheaty bite. But the second sip, the whole thing kind of mellows out a little bit, which I think is quite nice. See. So, what else can we say about this one then? Is there any other impact flavours? Not really, but yeah, a bit of the wheaty bite and stuff comes out on the back of the palate into the aftertaste as well. So yeah, let's just break the flavour of this one down and describe it a bit more in depth for you then. So yeah, middle third of your palate. I would say I was right about this one being quite a wheaty leaning New England IPA, but the oats do come out a bit later on too. But yeah, let's go to the middle third of your palate then. The backbone of the beer, fresh white bready bread crust in this one. That's there. Further forward on the middle third of your palate, you get a nice little bit of woodiness coming out of it. So yeah, fresh white bready bread crust, a little bit of woodiness in there, some Jacob's cream cracker sitting on top of it, but then yeah, you've got a wholemeal brown bready character. Wholemeal brown bready character sitting on top of that, which is a little bit of it's a little bit of a more wholemeal brown bready note, a little bit drier of course, but then yeah, above that you get the fluffier white bread from the barley malt, but then yeah, above that one you've got the more dense wheaty white bready character coming out of it, which I do quite like, I have to say that. Yeah. So, the more dense wheaty white bready character. Further forward, as I've often said, sweeter flavours come out further forward on your palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. So yeah, further forward with this one, you're getting the, further forward, you're getting more of the kind of smoothness out of the wheaty side of the bread, but further back, yeah, you're getting a wee bit more of a kind of bitiness from the wheat, I would say. So yeah, the way that goes together is pretty nice in this one. So yeah, you get the bitiness of the wheat further back, but on top of that, if you go down the middle line of your tongue, you can just feel that light, kind of fluffy and creamy, but it's not even so creamy, that light fluffiness from the oats. So down the middle line of your tongue, of course, you've got that little bit of fluffiness from the oats. As you move further out toward the edges of your palate, it shows you a little touch of dryness. There's a teeny little circle in the dead centre of your palate there, which is the sweetness of the beer. But yeah, it's a little bit like a kind of Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of note that comes out of that. So yeah, there's a wee bit of biscuit surrounding it as well. So yeah, McVitie's digestive biscuit and a wee bit of like a Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of thing in there. So yeah, but that's quite minimal. The kind of smoothness of the oats and the wheat are the things that kind of dominate the flavour in that sense. It's really not a sweet IPA, this one. So yeah, let's go to the back third of your palate then. As I've often said, the back third of your palate will give you very similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, but just at different intensities. So yeah, the border region between middle and back third of your palate, again you get that little bit of bready build up in there. You've got the kind of brown bread in the base, the barley malt white bread in the middle, then the more wheaty, bitey character on the top. But the base of that back third of your palate, yeah, the sort of white bready bread crust, which is a little bit drier, the cracker, which again is a little bit drier. Above that, you've got the kind of wholemeal brown bready layer, which is a little bit lighter. You know, a little bit lighter, taller and more airy as well. Then the white bready layer above that, which you can say the same about, and then yeah, you can feel the wheaty character going over the top of that. And the wheat is of course the really bitey, the wheat has got a lot of bitiness to it as well, which is really interesting. So yeah. So yeah, the way that this one goes together in that regard is really quite nice. So yeah, lovely wheaty bitiness in there. But above that, you start to get the yeasty side of this beer. So the yeasty side of this one, it's kind of like a sweet white bread at its core, and then it's got like another kind of more, slightly more dry white bread around the edge, and then a bit of a sweeter bread crusty sort of thing coming out of it. So yeah, the on the back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller, and then yeah, as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it kind of condenses down and just squashes together that wee bit more. So yeah, the way that everything kind of pieces together in this one is really quite nice. Gets a big thumbs up from me. The malty yeasty side of this beer is quite nice, and it's grown on me the more that I've drank of the beer. But yeah, the wheaty bitiness is what lingers there for sure, and a wee bit of the smoothness of the oat as well. And it's not too sweet or creamy, I know. But let's go on to the hoppy side of things then. So, green component. Back corners of the palate, you have got a little touch of earthiness in there, but not too much. As you come further forward, you've got a wee bit of a kind of pine resiny note there, and it almost feels a little bit dusty, like, you know, you can imagine if you drink a very fresh New England IPA, like right off the tap, you get this little bit of dustiness from it, and it feels like, you know, the hop pellets almost. But yeah, as you come further forward, there's a wee bit of pine resin there, some nice floral aromaticity on the front corners of your palate, then round the front curve of your tongue, the beer is just that little bit lighter and more grassy. Wee touch of zestiness to it as well. So yeah, nothing surprising about the green component in all honesty, but a wee bit of lingering bitterness. So front third of your palate then. The border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of bready build up in there, the brown bread in the bottom again, the white bread in the middle, then the more wheaty character on top. The base of your front third of your palate is of course the white bready bread crust, the Jacob's cream cracker, the wholemeal brown bread, the white bread, the wheaty note, and then the smooth oaty character. Then above that you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So yeah, let's look at that fruity side of things then. And there's something familiar about the hops in this. This is either Galaxy and Citra, and maybe something softer like Idaho 7, and potentially a slightly more citrusy hop like Mosaic or Motueka or something like that. Something familiar about what's been used in this beer, I would say. But yeah, I would say if you go to the back of that oily bubble, you do get a really nice kind of, you get a nice little bit of sharper peachy character on top. Lots of quite juicy, very ripe mangoes, almost to the point where they're slightly guava-ish. I've always found that guava tastes like kind of like a green mango almost. So yeah, peach, little bit of guava, lovely juicy green mangoes. As you move further forward, there's maybe a wee touch of passion fruit underneath. And as you move further forward into the middle of that front third of your palate, it's like a little bit apricot-y, I would say. So the level of complexity that's coming out of this one makes me think Citra, in all honesty. Otherwise it's a combination of one or two, but there's a wee bit of softness to it, so that makes me maybe think Idaho 7. This kind of softness of the apricot-y and slightly pineapple-y notes that the beer has makes me think that. And as you move further forward into the front half, the beer, it's actually in the flavour, it's not got too much of a citrusy element to it. There's a wee bit of a lemony limey note, and that again makes me think Citra, in honesty. Yeah, there's maybe a wee bit lemon lime. It could be like Motueka, and it does get a wee bit orangey, and there's a wee bit of earthiness. So it could be a little bit of Mosaic in this one. But I think if it was Citron Mosaic, I would be getting all these kind of triggers and things in my mind. So, you know, it's always fun playing Guess the Hops with different beers, but it's quite hard these days because of how many hop varieties there are. It used to be a lot easier. But yeah, the fruity side of this one is pretty nice to see. We've got peach, guava, mango, passion fruit, I think a little bit of apricot and pineapple further forward. Then yeah, there's a wee bit of an orangey, lemony, limey character. The lemony, limey notes especially just behind the very front tip of the tongue where you've got all the grassy esters. But yeah, fruity side of this beer is quite nice. So I think it's fair to say, to describe this one, it's a little bit more of a kind of bitter, wheaty, bitey, and nice and juicy New England IPA. This one, I like this. Actually, I have enjoyed this one. Yeah, so I think we can round off the review with a wee quick look at the mouthfeel then. So for me, this beer is mid-bodied. It's right in the middle of the spectrum. Carbonation's very, very smooth. It's kind of more it's got more of a kind of silky mouthfeel, this one, rather than being kind of creamy, if you like. IBU wise, it says on the can that it's 14, but to me it feels actually a bit more bitter than that. Could it be a little bit of hop burn or something like that? Yeah, it feels, you know, if I was having this one blind, I would think it was 40 or 50 IBUs in all honesty. But the malt base underneath, a little bit of kind of fresh, you know, as I say, we've got that fresh white bready breakfast. There gives you a bit of dryness. There's smoothness in the middle, and again, it's even more smooth kind of on top of that. The yeastiness gives you a wee bit of dryness, so this beer does get a little bit drier into the aftertaste. There's not really a sweetness to this one, and then yeah, you've got these lovely juicy fruits coming out of it as well. But all in all, a really nice New England IPA. This one, I like this one because of the extra wheaty bitiness that it has. But yeah, the hops, as I say, the thing that surprises me about this one is they're saying 14 IBUs, but it does feel a little bit more. So maybe a wee touch of hop burn or something like that in this one. But all in all, I've enjoyed this one, and this is definitely worth trying should you get the chance. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This was the Football Haze, a 6% New England Hazy, whatever you want to call it, IPA from Young Master Brewery in Wong, Chuk on Hong Kong Island here in the Hong Kong SAR. It's been always nice to review their new beers. So let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Young Master are as well. Thank you for watching my reviews, and I will catch you in another one very, very soon. In the meantime, check out their social media, check out my social media, and I'll see you guys later. Ciao just now.